Why'd you go so far away from me, friend? There we go.
Maybe it's not your friend.
Well, don't get me all suspicious about the microphones.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you believe me, then you need to talk to those nice people in the white coats.
Do you think the Zoom microphone knows about my Sennheiser at home?
I don't want to get involved in your infidelity.
Hi, and welcome to the Inner Moxie Podcast. Podcast about not one, but two neurodivergent adults trying to live their best lives on the Neuro D list and not hate themselves in the process. I'm your host, Ronnie.
And I'm Danny.
And this week, we will be continuing our talk about RSD.
Rejection Sensitivity Dyphoria.
Dysphoria.
Okay, well, Moxie meter time.
Moxie meter time. Going out of 5. I know. I'm going with the 1.
Oh, fuck.
Oh no. It has been a rough ass week. Like I told you, I lost my meds. Mm-hmm. So been dealing with the fallout from that. And then a couple of nights ago, one of my kids had a breakdown of a really heavy variety, a rough one, bigger than we've had in a couple of years. And yeah, I was just not in a place to handle it with my meds being gone. And I mean, it got handled. Sounds like I killed one of my children. There was some yelling, there was some screaming. But it's been rough. I'm behind on work because my brain hasn't been kicking in. I'll catch a wave of productivity, but it is really short lived. And then along the way, I injured my right shoulder. It's getting better now. But like the day and the day after I injured it, I couldn't lift my arm. Like if it didn't get any better after the first day, I was like, I kind of got to go to the doctor. Luckily it did. It's still not all the way there, but like the first day I was like, oh, well, you know what? Shit, it's my right shoulder, but fuck you, fate. I'm left-handed. And then I was like, but also my work is mainly done with the mouse, which I still use my right hand, as I think most left-handers do. Use their right hand for the mouse. I've met one lefty that uses his left hand on a mouse. It was very strange to look at because this was it was at an office job and it was on a shared computer and it was still wired mouses. And so he would just like grab it and move it across to the other side. And then, the wire from the mouse would go diagonally. Yeah. So it's been tough, but I'll add this asterisk. It is a 1, but on the way up. Luckily, this is something I was complaining about. I forgot if it was on the show or just to you in general, but that I only get like a 14-day supply. Yeah. Which luckily meant like when I sat down after we talked about it yesterday or last week, and I was like, so I just figured out it's missing. I'm going to figure it out. And then when I looked at it, it's like, oh, this today was actually the day I could refill it.
Nice.
So that was like the first fucking thing I did in the morning. And then of course it was with I accidentally input an old card that declined. Oh. And so, but like luckily I found out about it pretty quick because I was checking pretty regularly to be like, when are you guys going to get me them brain drugs? So I did get an afternoonie, which immediately felt better. I don't know why they've changed the generic brand now, and they've always been like 2 little white pills, and they're a little bigger now. They're still the same milligrams, but they're just physically a little bigger. But they're like a cotton candy blue, which I don't think changes anything. They're just pretty.
I mean, mine are blue. I don't know about cotton candy.
Yeah. Well, but we have different.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No, mine are not blue or weren't. Now they're a pretty. So yeah, it's on its way up. I finally qualified for a house.
Oh, nice.
So I got that locked down.
Nice.
Which, there's some sadness, of like, well, I have to leave my house and go to an apartment, which, I know lots of people live in apartments. There's nothing wrong with apartments, but it was kind of, for a few years, at least I had that American dream. I had the yard and I didn't own it. I was just renting the American dream, but I had the yard and, 3 bedrooms. Now it's going to be a little more cramped with 2 bedrooms and much smaller living space, no yard and all that stuff, but we'll survive. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
And, but I'm going to miss peeing in my backyard.
Okay.
I don't know if it is a boys thing or my group of friends thing, but dudes who I've known enjoyed urinating in their backyard. It might be just like a kid thing. I don't know.
It might be a kid thing. Did I talk about this on the podcast? Do I have a peeing in the backyard story to tell you?
No. I mean, I hope you did not talk about it on the podcast.
Okay, I talked about this recently.
Do tell. I am very...
Okay, when I lived a long time ago.
When you lived a long time ago.
Yeah, I was, 6. The neighbor across the street, like their backyard was really cool. Anyway, so we had all these different areas where we could like go. So this one part was like so far away from the door, like we got like a paint bucket because, we didn't pee in the dirt. But it was just to pee so that we didn't have to go inside and, stop playing whatever we were doing. I think that side was where we built a city or something. I don't know.
You didn't want to be uncivilized.
Yeah. So yes, I have peed in a backyard when I was little, but I wouldn't say I would miss it. In fact, I don't. And I enjoy a toilet.
Yeah. But the process would be much different for me and you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I just, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at a 1, but I'm hoping that I'm reaching the bottom and kind of coming back, starting the trip up the other side. Yeah. Hopefully like tomorrow, maybe the next day. I got medication. I feel worlds better than I did before I had my medication. And I forget how helpful it is, because you kind of take it for granted. And even when you haven't had it a couple of days, it's like, this is annoying. But when you've been off of it for a while, you kind of forget that this is how you used to live all the time. And it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
But yeah, so that's where I'm standing. How about you and your Moxie meter of the week?
I mean, today I feel good. It's also been kind of a labile week for me.
A what week?
Labile.
I don't know that word.
Okay, it's a term that I almost never get to use it because it's a very mental healthy like affect check. So like a person's affect is different than their mood. So like, how are they presenting? Labile means all over the place. Like you might see all of the emotions several times in your 50 minutes or whatever it is. Like it's not a great state.
So I kind of the term we should be using when people use the term manic. Maybe. Yeah.
Manic is a
medical term.
Well, it's a symptom of, a few things.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I didn't.
And what was the word again? Labile?
Labile.
Okay. I'm going to try and remember that.
Yeah.
I like that word.
Only because, I mean, I don't think I was ever in a bad mood. It was just like a really weird week, but also good. So number wise, I don't fucking know. Maybe, I mean, probably an 8 to an 8.5.
All right.
I mean, that's pretty okay. But I mean, I had a really fun filled week, actually. I also didn't realize I ran out of not ADHD medication, but Zyrtec. Like I have like my pill thing and I ran out of it. I had 0 in my whatever.
What's Zyrtec for, if you don't mind my asking?
Allergies.
Okay.
I forgot, I'm getting itchy now. I am allergic all the seasons. Like So like the pollen or whatever, like whatever's in the air, whatever is in the wind, whatever is in the house, like I just am allergic to it.
That first scene of Nightmare Before Christmas then is just like your living nightmare.
Oh yeah, that would suck. Like anytime there's one, I'm like, oh God, my eyes are just gonna bleed. They don't bleed. They itch and then they tear. Like it's very different than crying.
Yeah.
It's like I wake up in the morning sometimes and like they just like drip water. It's not like tear.
It's like a leaky faucet.
Yeah. Not all the time. But okay, so I didn't put all this together till later. Oh, you know what? Actually, pause. It if I don't say a 10, my friend Jody's going to kill me. She's a listener. I've seen her 3 times this week.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
I have 2 friends.
She's like, your Moxie meter better be on 10. Okay, well, here you go. There you go. There it is. She was joking. She's not psychotic.
Yes. I have 2 friends named Jody.
Oh, I just have one.
And one of them has ADHD.
Cool.
So maybe I shouldn't be. I guess I didn't say their last name.
Yeah. I mean, there's many Jodys.
Yes.
But this one wanted me to say I was at a 10. So there you go, Jody. Back
it's Jody Foster. It's Jody Foster, huh?
Yeah. Oh, where was I? I stopped in the middle of my story and then I forgot everything. Oh, yeah. So I ran out of that. Didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, I'll get to Costco at some point. This is not a big deal. But on Friday, same day that I went into the world unprotected, which I didn't realize that I really, really need it.
You're going to get your face pregnant.
Yeah. Unprotected face sex.
That should have been the name of the podcast.
Oh.
Maybe not as on point, but probably would have gotten a few more listeners.
Maybe. And they would have quickly turned around. So, okay, I went work, blah, blah, blah. Went over to my friend's house afterwards. She lives in Long Beach. We walked to the lagoon. We brought our dinner. We sat on a towel on the beach and just talked and ate. And it was really nice.
That was nice.
Didn't think anything about it. And then we went back to her house, whatever. I was driving home and I was like, God, I'm like itchy. Were there like bugs out there? Like mosquitoes? But I don't think it was mosquito. Anyway, I got hives like, and all over like my stomach and my side area. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I was like, I tend to be a hypochondriac. And actually, I think this has to do with a lot of gaslighting in my past. I always question what I know is actually true in my body. I know I'm very in tune with what is happening here, but not so many people, certain key people in my life, mostly just one, have told me so many times that I actually don't know. And it's actually not that. So I really question it. Like, it's one of those things that kind of just like, I'm still trying to unstick. But I was like, I don't remember having hives. My mom said I got hives when I was 2 from penicillin. Okay. I don't remember that. I don't know what they are. In my head, it's a bunch of beehives all over your skin, but that's not real.
It's a Swiss rock band.
What?
It's a Swiss rock band.
Oh, yeah, they're fun. They are fun. They're really loud, too. I like it.
I like the hives.
Same.
For the record, because we were talking and you texted me that you had hives because we were going to have meetings. I'm not informing you. I'm informing you.
Yeah.
You know.
I do know.
You were there.
Yeah.
But literally for the rest of the week is, do what I want and I can't get it done because I'm gonna.
Yeah. They're fun.
There. I have one of their records on vinyl.
Oh, I listened to one of their records on a Walkman. A long time ago. Okay, so hives. So like I didn't know what to do. I hadn't put anything together. My friend, like, so the next day, she was like, well, just get some antihistamines. And so I was like, Benadryl. I have to get Benadryl. So like I walked to CVS by my house and I got it. And then I was like, well, I have to be somewhere at 6. What time is it? Okay, I better take this at 11 so that I can get this out of my system in 6 hours so I can go. So I did that, and I don't remember Benadryl making me so tired, but it made me so tired. Like I felt like if I did not fall asleep, I was going to be murdered or something. I don't know. Like I just had to give in. Right. So that was a 3-hour thing. And then I woke up and I was like, all right, it's like 3:00. I should probably stay awake. And it was a struggle. I didn't realize how powerful that is. So anyway, another friend of mine that night was like, oh, this happened to me. Now I have to take Zyrtec all the time. I'm like, is that the fucking thing? Okay. I ran out. Okay, ding dong, I got it. All right. Like, and they were coming and going, and it even got to the point, like, Sunday, like, I don't know, I brushed up against something, like, on my arm right here, and this whole thing turned red and, like, raised up. I was like, what the hell? I even had a little bit of residual, like, last night. Like, right here, bra strap area. I mean, it was all over. It was, and my skin just felt, like, so itchy and uncomfortable, but I still was having a great weekend.
Yeah.
It just also had hives involved, and I was itchy and uncomfortable.
Yeah, an itchy, uncomfortable, great weekend. That makes sense.
I mean, this is why I say labile, because it's kind of like all over the place,
Right.
and it's kind of like a little baby roller coaster, but it wasn't fully unpleasant. Like, I really enjoyed the interactions that I had and the things that I did. I also was just, like, incredibly itchy and uncomfortable in my skin, which I'm familiar with, just not on a physical level.
It was your mental coming out.
Yeah, something.
Dude, I'll keep this story short. When I was, like 17, 16, something like that, I went down to Mexico, just Ensenada, with my mom and my sister. We took a little vacation down there. And I remember I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like super itchy and like it was bothering me. So I went to the bathroom, I turned the light on, and like all over my upper body was hives. And it was like bad. And like I got some lotion. I smeared that on and I went back to sleep. Next morning, totally gone.
What lotion was it? Magic?
No, it was just regular like lotion.
That did not work for me.
Yeah. But here's the crazy thing. That night, went to bed. Same thing happened again. The second night. Yeah, that's what we figured. It's probably like the detergent or something they used in the sheets. And then I used but it was so weird that it happened so fast and went away so quick.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's pretty lucky.
It was a weird experience.
That is weird. Oh, on that note, I tried I had hydrocortisone cream. I had some other thing, but I found aloe vera and I was like, okay, sunburn. Okay. Skin thing. Let me do that. And that actually made me feel better.
Nice.
So there's
sense.
a hack. If any of you ever get hives and you have some aloe vera, I would recommend it.
I don't know if I've ever used it, but I always think to use calamine lotion.
Where do you even buy that?
I don't even know, but like I always think of that. Do you remember that it's an oldie, I think probably from the 50s. I don't remember who sings it, but the Poison Ivy song. Poison Ivy. Well, there's a line and it goes, "You're gonna need an ocean of calamine lotion."
Okay.
And that just, every time I have skin itch, I think of that.
Well,
but
when I hear Poison Ivy, I think of the Babysitters Club. Because in the camp super special, I think it was someone Johansson. Scarlett Johansson. Yes, she went to camp and she got Poison Ivy, and she had to have calamine lotion and stay in the infirmary. Which, who cares? But that's
I bet you they played that song on the soundtrack.
Maybe.
You just didn't notice it.
Probably. I read it, so the soundtrack was in my own head.
Shit. Why do I always... Wait, then why was it Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, no. Okay, this is not a person. I mean, it is a person. This is a character in a book.
Scarlett Johansson is a person.
The last name was Johansson in the book. This child that they babysat. Well, forget it. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to Google that shit. I don't care. All right. I can let it go.
Okay.
All right. Housekeeping.
I do have a couple. First of all, everybody, if you would, if you like what you're hearing, if you want to support us, if you want to help us keep doing what we're doing, we do have a Patreon page that we would love to get some support on. And also, we have started to drop a bunch of behind the scenes clips of stuff that gets cut out of every episode. Because believe it or not, sometimes we go down paths that go nowhere.
You don't want to go.
Yeah. And they don't, they're not great for the flow of the overall show, but they make pretty fun little clips and they're all posted up. So come check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
As far as, just some notes I had from last week, there was, I couldn't remember it, but we were talking about the annual pass holder stickers. It was the Disneyland annual pass stickers. So they used to be an A and then the Mickey Mouse ears or Mickey Mouse head, and then the P, and the Mickey Mouse head always looked like a V to me. That's why I always saw it as Aliens versus Predator.
Okay.
And then on a more serious note, we did talk a little bit about the suicide hotline. I couldn't remember. The actual number is 988. Oh. And if you feel like that's something you may need, or you could see yourself possibly needing, I'd recommend putting it in your phone. It's in my phone, and I don't think I'll ever use it, but I'd rather it be there. I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So if you do ever struggle with things like that, or think you may struggle with it, I would highly recommend putting it in your phone. We can be phone contact buddies in that sense.
Do I have to do this? I don't think that'll ever be a thing for me.
No, you don't have to.
Okay. I mean, I'm not trying to. I guess you can never say never, but that's never.
Yeah. Well, and also that's the beauty.
Popped up.
I would say that, and that's the beauty of it. Let's say like stuff does start to get bad, and you know, I hope it doesn't. But like, let's say stuff does start to get bad. Put it in sooner rather than later. I also have friends that I have known that I have had to talk down from time to time. And the thought of if my phone was on silent, or if I had missed that call, not that they wouldn't have called other people, I'm sure, but that's scary. And so sometimes it's good to have just as a reference for friends or people in your life who, not while they're going through it, but after they're through it, say, hey, how about you keep this number for me? Do me a favor. And I've asked that of a friend or two in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a de-escalated conversation. For
yes,
sure.
For sure.
While during active ideation, that's the worst thing. One of the worst things you could do.
Yes. And then, yeah, that was about it. I wrote the word pushover, but I don't know what that means or what that was in reference to.
I don't remember.
Sometimes
Are you one?
I mean, I certainly am. I've talked about that before on the show.
But I don't remember this.
Yeah, I don't know why I wrote that word. Yeah, but I think the most important thing was the 988. I wanted to make sure that I was out there with the correct number and let people know that there's no shame in it, and it's always better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think with that we can get back to the good
business.
Old rejection I'm calling it sensitivity dysphoria.
Okay. Good old RSD.
RSD.
So what we discussed last night, we kind of ended on the signs, internal, external signs. So now we can take a different pathway. What does it feel like? Do you ask? No, because you know. All right. Well,
what do scholars say it feels like?
I don't know about scholars, but this article says the excruciating pain of RSD is often beyond description.
Helpful.
I hate the sentence, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Patients describe the intensity of RSD as awful, terrible, catastrophic, or devastating, but they cannot verbalize the quality of the emotional experience. Mm-hmm.
Well, now it just sounds like they're making fun of them.
Well, I mean, what they're not saying is this is very alexithymic in nature. There are many reasons why people may not be able to describe it, because it does sound ridiculous to say, I dropped my pen and I wanted to punch the fucking wall or something.
Right.
Or I wanted, I just, for me, it feels like something is like trying to stab its way out of me, but it not like pain, like not that kind of physical pain. It's like all like mental, like almost headache, but not nails on a chalkboard sensation without actually hearing it. Like that's very uncomfortable and generally unwarranted because I can just grab the pen. It's a foot away.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, part of it is, you're not surveying yourself while you're in it. I would think that situation comes up particularly rarely, if at all. Your brain is pumping full of chemicals. Your head is full of emotions in all different ways. And once that's cleared up, that's hard to renegotiate with any kind of passion that you had while you were in it.
Yeah. I mean, I can sometimes separate out. It's when it's these, not everything is so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things can be disproportionate and it's not reliable. It's not everything becomes this way. But like when I already know when I have to close a door again, I drop something, and that's not every time. Or like a loud sound comes and I can't hear my brain and it's very disorienting. Like those I notice because, and I can watch it as it's happening as well as experience. But like other things, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like that's after like paying attention and just like understanding just how ridiculous it is and how it affects other people in a not negative way. Usually they laugh because I'm laughing too. Like,
right.
And I really don't feel like it's like self-deprecating. I feel like it's, recognizing this for what it is. I'm going through it, but I also don't need like support. I'm just like, I know I'm being fucking ridiculous. Give me 10 seconds.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and too, sometimes it's, that like acknowledge that I'm going through this and just give me my crazy Joker laugh for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That sometimes that is the support. Support doesn't always have to be calming somebody down.
Yeah, I don't want to be calmed down mostly.
Sometimes,
all the time.
sometimes it's letting them, and I mean, it's kind of what the show is about. Sometimes it's letting them be unmasked in this state and knowing that they can be unmasked around you. Obviously, you shouldn't be destroying things while you're unmasked.
Yeah,
which crosses the mind. But yeah, sometimes support is just like, hey, do your freak show thing. It's normal here. That's
right.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. This also says the intense pain. I guess some people experience it as a physical wound. Intense pain. So maybe some people do somaticize a bit, feel it in their body. I don't know. Like I could almost feel it, but it doesn't feel like pain. It just feels excruciating, which doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
But it does to me.
Yeah, no, it's hard because like I'd also venture to say part of this is just it's hard to describe emotions.
I hate having them, but they're still welcome here. I just fucking hate it.
But like, I mean, it's just a difficult task in general. Like I think you would be hard pressed to describe, especially in a clinical way, to describe moments of extreme happiness or euphoria, beyond the terms of happiness or euphoria.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people can to some degree, but also you're pulling in artistic stuff at that point.
Well, and I think different people process when we're talking about emotions, things at different levels. Like I know for me, things don't really sink in depending on the severity for days, maybe. Just found out some things take 3 years. I don't know. Like it takes a long time, well, I don't know. If it's something that has to be dealt with like immediately or something that's not an emergency, it'll take me a few days to really figure out what I actually feel about it. Because like, I do think in an emergency, I'm a pretty decent person to be around because like I can keep my head on straight because I'm not processing it on an emotional level. Yeah, I'm just like, what do we need to do here? Like, this is fine. And then later might come the emotions, like the realization of like, whatever that was, how serious it could have been, how it went, all of that stuff. And all of that is very difficult to articulate. Now, I do know that there are people who apparently know how they feel immediately and can tell you all about it. I didn't like that. I mean, if it is you in this situation, I didn't like it. I'll just leave it there.
And that's great. We'll go watch your fucking parade.
Yeah.
No, I mean, good for you. I don't want to come off as bitter or anything like that. But it's to your point. It's not the same for everybody. And I think I heard this about. It's going to be a little side road, but not much. I've heard this about grief. That one of the fundamental flaws in the stages of grief that they always, like I think it was 7 stages of grief or whatever. I don't know them off the top of my head.
DABDA, DABDA, I could tell you.
Oh.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But it's a cul-de-sac. You go round and round on the wheel.
Cul-de-sac is a great way to put it. I was going to say that
cross the street often.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And just because you've done one doesn't mean you won't go back to it. And these are they're like a grab bag of emotions that you're going to have for a number of years, and then you might not have for a while, and then one day you might have again. And I don't think that grief is particularly unique amongst emotions like that. I think rejection can feel like that. I think other sad things, essentially that's kind of what trauma is this thing that kind of comes back up and starts to rear its ugly head again. And I think even outside of maybe even things that were traumatic, I think that any kind of emotions, especially rejection, can have that cul-de-sac type thing, or grab bag is, just you're going to hit these negative things. And I would hope, and I just haven't put any time to think about it, but I would think off the top of my head that happiness could have that too.
Sure.
I will randomly be taken back to, when I adopted one of my kids that day in court, or the first time I saw my oldest daughter, or something like that, that'll pop up, and that'll bring me through joy and all of these other things. And, so yeah, I think it's just, I know the long and short of it is, emotions are complicated.
They are in and of themselves. And then when you add like the extreme part, it can just feel like this. So, someone may feel as if they were stabbed or punched in the chest. I guess commonly people will hunch over, grimace, and clutch their chest when they describe their RSD experience. I probably do that. I think I grimace often. And honestly, I don't know if I grimace when I feel grimacy. I think it might just be a face I make sometimes.
Is grimace just like a Clint Eastwood face? Like the... Okay.
Like, I do that. I overdo that a lot over stupid things when I'm not RSDing. It's just funny. I probably do actually hunch over. I don't know if I, sometimes, but that's anxiety.
Yeah.
That's different. Maybe not. I don't fucking know. This has confused me.
Well, yeah. And two, also, all of this stuff generally for, not 100% of the time, obviously, but if rejection's going to kick in, or sensitivity to rejection, you're going to be with somebody else. And then so that lifetime of either conscious or unconscious masking is going to kick in. So it's, it's one of those things of, there are things I know I used to do that I'll probably never do again because they've been beaten out of me in an attempt to be normal. Not like I was hit or anything like that, but just time in trying
repetition.
Yeah. And so it's hard even on that to know what your natural reaction might be like, because like I know even when I have my breakdowns, I'm still trying to mask. And is it pathetic? But that's usually when I try and find a way out of a room or try and find somewhere I can't be seen.
Yeah.
And then quickly unmask to let all kinds of weird convulsions out.
Yeah. It is sometimes very inconvenient the times that things, pop up like that. Mm-hmm. And subjecting the world at large to it is probably not always advised. Masking is also a survival skill. It's just something that creeped in and just took over everything.
Yeah.
Like you have those convulsions in public, someone's either going to call 911 for good or bad reasons,
right.
Like that wouldn't be great for, probably. So, or me or anyone. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, and two, there might be some folks that just honestly want to help in a time where it's like, really the best help I need right now is some space.
And how would you be able to articulate that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll come back to this other thing. I think it is interesting, but I think it's something that doesn't have to necessarily go in. Okay. If we run out of time. Okay. So the next kind of thing is something we've kind of danced around. Is RSD a symptom of ADHD? Which we already know, no, not necessarily. It's not a formal symptom. Emotional dysregulation is one of the 6 fundamental features to diagnose ADHD. Well, this says in the European Union, but it also talked about the DSM-5. So I think It's probably still 6. I don't know. The number doesn't matter, but this counts in the US too. I don't know. I don't know where we are.
I like that. It was a very small argument with yourself. So it says 6. The number doesn't matter. Well, it does.
That's funny because I do this all day long, but it really helps to, get it out there. I do this alone in my office too. Like there's, just verbal. I got to hear it.
It helps.
Thank you for witnessing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure many people do it or would like to, and now you can see what it looks like at least, and whether you want to look like this. I don't know.
Also, got you where you needed to go. That's the important part.
For sure.
Look, Zanny's just showing her work on the math problem is all.
Yeah, how exactly I got there. Now, here's something I could do, because they touched on emotional dysregulation, which is one of the criteria wherever you stand in whatever book you're figuring this shit out in. I definitely identified a lot with it too. So maybe I can just go over that real quick, because I think a lot of people might resonate for a lot of people. Okay. So what is it? An impaired ability to control your emotional response, leading to extreme or overblown reactions that don't really fit the situation. Which sounds like RSD, but maybe not to the extreme. Mm-hmm. So people might say someone might be dramatic, which that's not the nicest thing to say, but people can be a little bit extra, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like, I'm going to die. It's just like, I don't know. I don't have an example. So let's just move on. So key signs and symptoms: emotional reactions that seem out of sync with their cause. Okay, so this is not an RSD thing necessarily, because if they're out of sync with their cause, that means that the trigger event, the thing that, caused the emotion, is not identifiable necessarily. Right.
So when it says out of sync, I guess then it means like out of sync in a temporal scale, or on a
maybe what they mean is like the scale is off.
Yeah. So like it would, like, that's at first what I thought was more of a like it's out of sync as in the reaction is way bigger than or maybe way smaller than
yeah, true, because it doesn't always have to be extra.
Yeah.
Like people who seem to not react a lot, like I can get to that place easily because I'm really great at shutting shit out. I'm just trying not to. And that's also valid. Emotional dysregulation doesn't mean you're just like all the time. You could be very in like one note all the time too. And that is dysregulation. And
also, it's the hard thing that comes when masking comes along. And with it, if you've been called a robot all your life, then you start maybe even subconsciously or maybe consciously masking that and start amplifying your emotions to reach up. But then if you've been called a drama queen or too emotional all your life, you start masking down to meet to it. And so it just becomes this weird spectrum of your emotions hopping to a place, your emotions being in a weird place, you trying to act like they're not in the weird place, and then your body probably giving off some kind of third thing that is neither of the two places you are or where you want to be.
And this is just one of the reasons why they don't want to put RSD in as an actual criteria, because it is very difficult to quantify, and you just highlighted that. And
I will say there's a lot of reasons I think they should. I get the difficult to quantify.
Yeah.
I think they need to do their jobs. I will admit that it is like the whole first half of this, we were talking about emotions. They're hard to quantify.
Yeah. But you could do it for depression. So I think that they could do it. All right. Difficulty calming down, even if you're aware that you're overreacting. So that might be a little bit different too. RSD might be a little more quick acting. This might, go on longer. I don't know. Low tolerance for frustration or annoyance. Right here. That's me. Irritable is a baseline. It's gotten better, actually, in the last month and a half or so.
Oh, wow. That recently, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it just is going to go like this. At the end of the day, like I got my moods, I got whatever's going on around me affects me.
Also, I think that's a very human thing.
Sure.
We're all going to have our goods and our bad seasons. We're all going to go through a tough couple of weeks. We're all going to go through a good couple of weeks.
But I mean, I still get irritable. It's just not as strong right now.
Also, I didn't want to brush off what you were feeling or say that I didn't want to do that. But don't we all lose our keys? I didn't mean it like that.
I know you didn't. I don't take it like that. There's a difference. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that. Okay. Temperamental or prone to sudden outbursts. Okay. Feeling completely overwhelmed by your emotions. That happens to me, actually. Like, ever since I was a kid. Like, even so when I was like little, there were some people that I just loved so much that I just wanted to be around them. 6 years old, like she was like a teenager or something, and like my parents would have to like go find her. Imagining this now, I'm like, oh my God, like my parents really did try for me. You know, like maybe this teenager's like, oh my God, like what does she want? You know, but I would like be crying because I was so excited to see her, but like it was just very overwhelming. And that doesn't happen to me often. And she was just like one of my favorite people.
What context was this teenager in your life? If you don't mind.
Church.
At church. Okay. That makes sense. It's like, did you bump into her at a kiosk at the mall once?
No.
Mom, Dad, find this teenager for me.
No. I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I'm explaining this right because like I was young, like not, I don't know. I feel like it had to have been around 6 because like at 7, there's some cognitive shift where some things become more permanent. I don't know. But like had a really difficult time controlling that emotion or even understanding what that was. Like so much excitement, but it wasn't just like, oh, I love her. You know, it just felt very like that. And there are several people in my life that has been like that for, and I don't understand why. And it is very overwhelming and I couldn't articulate it. Maybe that's why I was crying. I don't know. The theme of sadness. Okay. I couldn't watch. I couldn't. It's not that I couldn't. I refused and shut off and kept away anything that, was extremely sad. So like when I was a kid, this was like, I don't know, little Bambi. My brother loved Land Before Time, and like even hearing that song, like I'll cry right now. Stuff like that, where I think it's when moms are dying, I would get very concerned about that.
Oh, so you've never seen a single Disney film?
Oh no, I've seen them all, but like there were some that Dumbo, no. Bambi, no. Land Before Time, no. Because like some of the Disney films, they it's not like the mom is dead and we're gonna watch it, you know.
I have to point this out just because I am a nerd and an animation nerd. Land Before Time is a Don Bluth film and not a Disney film.
Yeah, we know. Well, I knew. Sorry, that was rude.
I just wanted to point it out because you referenced it as a Disney film.
I didn't reference it as a Disney film.
Okay.
I don't think I did. If I did, that was not what I meant to do.
Back to the tape. No.
Yeah, roll back. Play it back. Okay. That's not what I intended to do. I knew it's not a Disney film. I just fucking Littlefoot and his mom, like the leaf in the water. Ugh, too sad. Move on.
It is very sad. Also, that T-Rex, very scary.
I don't remember that.
Oh, T-Rex.
I really tried not to watch it. American Tail, also not Disney. Very sad.
Also
refused to watch it. Okay.
Oh, fantastic film. What about part 2? Part 2 wasn't as sad.
I don't know. I wasn't trying to. Why would I watch the second of something I didn't like the first?
That's
or
great.
refuse to watch the first. I think those are different.
Yeah.
Okay. Difficulty refocusing your attention away from the emotion. Haven't thought about that.
Yeah. Well, also it doesn't help that that's
all or nothing, 0 to 100, any negative trigger. That's why this is kind of involved RSD, because some of this, yes, some of this, no, but they break it down like this. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I forget what it was now.
Sorry.
But it's all good.
I'm a steamroller.
Steamroll away. This is as much your podcast as it is mine. You do you.
Thanks.
Plus, you did the notes. So
true. Well,
I
printed them and I highlighted shit.
If I wanted to remember what I was going to say, I should have taken notes.
You know what? Good feedback for yourself. All right. RSD treatment options, because we've alluded to the fact that I've worked on it. You've worked on it. Mm-hmm. It's not impossible.
Yeah. And honestly, both of us have kind of worked on it under the guise of working on other stuff.
Yeah. And not having words for it, but it's really not appropriate to scream when you drop your pen.
No.
Or I don't know. I actually had someone caught me in RST today at work, actually. Like, I got to work and I ran to someone in the parking lot and she was like, oh yeah, this meeting at 10, I'll be there. I'm going to come over. And I was like, fuck, I forgot about this meeting at 10. I was going to do this other thing. So that's not who caught me. I walked in and I was going to go put my stuff down in my office and go make my food, whatever. And someone was like, there's a dead cockroach in the hallway. Can you go get it and throw it away? And I was just like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, I just was like really confused, but I was
Why
like,
am
okay,
I dead cockroach
okay,
girl?
hold on. What? Like, anyway, so like I handled all of that. I made my thing. And then someone IM'd me and she was like, are you okay? You seemed something today. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I got thrown off in the parking lot. I forgot about this meeting. I was in a rush, trying to get all my stuff together and like reorganizing my day in my head. And I guess I let it slip to the outside world, which I don't want to do. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable, which I'm glad she was comfortable enough to tell me about it. She was concerned. That makes me think that it was not taken as, I'm annoyed with you.
Right.
I'm just annoyed. So, I mean, it does affect other people. I don't think this is the worst, but I don't like that. I don't know.
No, yeah. Well, to your point of like, it's always kind of that weird balancing act of like, I do want people that I feel safe and comfortable with, exposing myself to, giggle. I'm sorry, I'm a child. Or talking with.
Too late. I was gonna make a joke.
But yeah, you do want those people, but at the same time, you don't want to constantly feel like a burden to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that gets to be a balancing act,
Yeah.
Of you do want places where you can be safe, but you don't want that to be the only thing about you. That you need those spaces. Yeah,
no. I mean, that becomes something in and of itself that's different, which I don't know that I mean, I guess it could. Like that reminds me of God, what is it?
The Land Before Time.
No. Like BPD.
Bipolar or borderline?
Borderline.
There we go.
Borderline. Like that feels very that. But I mean, ADHD could be also a part of, a person that could be dual diagnosed.
I agree with when we reassess the names of different conditions, especially as they've gotten some kind of stigma attached to them or not. And my understanding is bipolar disorder has moved to borderline personality disorder.
No. They're different.
Well, I was going to say I thought it was neat that they got to keep the same initialism, but I guess they didn't. So
I mean, as far as I know, in the DSM-5, they're all hanging out separately. They not mimic. There's a lot of shared things. I think borderline is more pervasive, and it's part of a personality disorder because it somehow has gotten a lot farther maybe than like just being able to be medically treated. That's one of the main differences. Okay. BPD, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, medication doesn't necessarily always work, which bipolar, generally, when you get the right combo, it can be managed.
Good to know.
Yeah. According to 10 years ago school.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Things have changed. I'm not current, but that's what I think. It sounds right.
Yeah.
Let's just go with it.
I was going to say, I was under the impression that it was kind of like a moving from Asperger's to low needs is what we'd call it now.
Low support needs.
Yeah, low support needs. I was under the impression that was kind of what happened with bipolar, moved to that. But I could easily be wrong on that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe housekeeping next time.
Yeah, I think that'd be good housekeeping.
Okay. Treatment options.
Okay.
Symptoms can be significantly relieved with clonidine and guaifenesin. Interesting. And
I take it those are medications.
Yeah. Clonidine, I don't know what it does. Guaifenesin is whatever's in Mucinex. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know why it reminds me of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Did you just speak English to me? I don't know what that is.
The Shakespeare. They killed. No, they got killed. They were.
Morgenstern? Are you sure? That sounds like.
No.
I don't know.
I don't think I said Morgenstern, did I? Oh my God.
I don't know what I've done. I just know I don't understand what you're saying.
They were two people in a Shakespeare play that I can't even remember right now. So, yeah, I can't even remember the names that I just said. Guildenstern was one of them. And then they made another play that was a facetious thing off of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. That was the name of the play.
Hurts my head right now.
Who the playwright of that play?
I am having RSD right now. Actually, I don't know why. This is triggering me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I didn't know this was a thing for me.
I was gonna say
it's so ridiculous.
The last fact: the playwright of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead went on to write Shakespeare in Love. So he's an Academy Award-winning screenwriter now.
Good for that guy. I hate this. I don't want to talk about Shakespeare. I have no appreciation. I understand like the
guy either. Okay, honestly.
The themes, blah blah blah. Like, okay, you see this. We do a lot with these things and other things. Okay, I can appreciate that. I don't need the rhyming. I don't need to talk like that. I am not trying to be disrespectful. I just can't do it, especially not right now. Apparently,
I will give you a little fun thing that you can or cannot do.
I'm going to say cannot. Don't tell me what to. I'm a brat and I know everything.
Oh, nice callback to before when we were recording.
No one knows. No. Whoopsies.
If and you ever feel like just being a little bit of a turd to somebody who loves Shakespeare, just be like, he copied or he stole all of that, right? They get very upset.
Well, I'm not in the business of pushing buttons on purpose. That's not nice. But that's a nice.
I do that to people
joke.
I really like.
Oh.
So I might. Like, I wouldn't do that if I just met somebody.
I don't know if I have any big Shakespeare fans in my life. If you are, out yourself so I
can make fun of you with the thing that Ronnie just said that you also heard.
Yep, that all of it. And I honestly, if you're my friend, I hope you really don't love Shakespeare like this because I don't know. I mean, it's not a deal breaker by any means, but just let's not talk about it. We haven't until now, so I think we're okay.
Midsummer's Night's Dream. I'm out.
Yeah, all of it. Get the fuck out. Now, Midsummer. Okay, let's do that.
I still haven't seen that one.
Well, it's all right.
It's all right. Like it's an okay movie, or you were saying it was all right that I haven't seen it.
Both.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Medicine, guaifenesin, and somehow this is where we ended up.
It was my fault. I apologize.
Okay. Whoever wrote this article says that this strongly indicates that RSD is neurological and not something that is due to lack of skills because it's able to be treated specifically. I don't know how they isolated this, and I don't know these studies, so I'm not going to go out and say that this is real.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna back this up with my own personal thumbs up.
Right.
Oh, that felt good.
Which I think is a good disclaimer to throw in. That this is something interesting we found, but we don't know where it is, but it's good to think about.
Yeah. There's no formal research using alpha agonist medications to treat RSD because how could they do it?
Yeah.
they'd have to set up a clinical trial and do it.
Also, alpha medications, you can't boss them around. You have to use
True.
those fucking cuck beta medications.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Alpha, it's me. Don't tell me. I was about to argue with myself again, but let's stop.
Do it. It's fine. This is a safe space.
Thank you. Okay. This is also this person who's writing this. If a patient benefits from an alpha agonist medication, they describe the new experience as one of putting on emotional armor. They walked out with protection on their face.
That one we were recording for.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely. Like I could use emotional armor.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what Adderall does. I mean, I walk out with my own personal emotional armor, but not RSD specific. I am trying to stop being guarded. When I first saw my psychiatrist, I went back after she put the notes in my record. I wanted to read them. I wanted to see what she said. And remember I said labile is affect or presentation. So my presentation was guarded and I was like, that is so fucking offensive. And then I was like, she's probably right though. Like I'm pretty much guarded all the time, which I'm really trying not to be. I am making a conscious effort to not be a lot, but it is something that I'm not alone in this. I'm sure many people do this, but I just didn't realize for myself how often in virtually every situation, like I just really want to cut off the opportunity of hurt, vulnerability. I don't want people to see my soft side necessarily. I don't want to be viewed as weak, which I don't think that way, but like when it comes back to me, like that's just how my brain says it to me. Like I'll be weak if, and people can't see that. I don't think that's good. I just didn't realize like how hard I went on that and how it infiltrated like my entire life. So I'm trying to like undo it a little bit at a time, I think. So
which is a good thing. It is a worthy task to undertake, I think.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, I just want to continue to grow and experience things that I would have cut myself off from, in an effort to preserve my own self. I cut myself off from a lot of connection, I think, and I do have a lot of connections with people, but I do think that the automatic no in whatever, maybe it served me for a time, but I don't think I need to do that anymore. So it's a balancing act, I think. I don't know. Cause like, anyway, whatever. Too much vulnerability.
So gross me.
It does. It's so cringy to me, but I mean, I think there's a greater risk in not talking about it for me anyway at this point. So,
well, I think, it's hopefully we've got some people listening to these episodes and some people that may not be that far off from you. Maybe some people that are considering maybe I should try and let that down a little in certain situations. So hearing your story may help.
Maybe. I hope so. I mean, it's been well received. This is not where you just go talk to some stranger in the grocery store and you tell them your whole life story. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. But there are some people who are safe and you will feel that. And you will be able to say things and that they're not going to be like, shut up. Or I don't want to hear this. Or like, oh, that's great. How's your mom? Like, I don't know. Like, I hope your mom's great, but like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you will be able to read the room too. All right. So treatment. Okay. This person thinks drugs. Cool.
Just pick one.
Yeah. If the patient does not benefit from medication, they have little control over an episode of RSD once it begins. This is true. Okay. The incidents have to run their course. I also agree with that because I can laugh and scream at the same time during the ones that I know what's happening. I can't stop it. I don't know if this happens for you too.
I mean, if I picked up on it correctly, I think it's a lot of things. And one of the things we've talked about here before, kind of the benefits of meditation or mindfulness is there is kind of there is a layer of a defense to kind of be able to step back and be like, this emotion is here. You can, I guess it is possible to have emotions, deep emotions, and witness yourself having them, and that makes you a little less in them.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is where, I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know where everyone stands with self-reflection, but I am always reflecting on self. Okay, maybe always is strong, but almost. And not even like, it has not been super negative even lately, which I'm happy to report that actually. I haven't thought about it, but
Yay.
I have not been as mean to myself as I have been in the past. And in fact, I have not like given myself a lot of shit for some things. Even for what I just said right now, my brain is not telling me like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. You really fucked that up. Like whatever. That would have happened a lot in this moment as I'm saying other things. I think, I don't know, somehow my brain has flipped a switch or something.
And take it while you got it.
Yeah. This is not necessarily stable. There was a point I was trying to make though. I lost it. Well, whatever. Okay, little control. Okay. No, I think maybe what I was trying to say before I got sidetracked, I think that happened, is when you notice it and you're reflecting back, then when I hit something kind of similar, I'm more likely to catch it earlier. And it is true. I don't know that you can stop it. I know I can't stop it, but I can change the presentation. And I don't even know that this is masking. It's like, how much of this is someone else's problem? Usually 0%. You know, this doesn't need to be taken out on another person. You know, if it's a safe space, like I could be honest maybe, but if not, like I could have that private moment and not react visibly or like switch it up. Like I turn on my stuff funny if I can't escape like the actual reaction. And in this situation, I don't know that that's like, again, self-deprecating or like deflection. I think it might just be highlighting the ridiculousness and it'll pass, you know, and it helps me. I don't feel bad about it. But mine are ragey. I don't know what it's like to have the sad kind. So that may not work. It doesn't, maybe, I don't know. You'll have to talk about your own shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's to kind of what you were saying of there, you know, there are times and places for stuff, and I should hope that we can get a little bit of grace for when we can't control the time or place, because like, believe me, I do not want to be having a breakdown in front of anybody. If you are a person who's seen me breaking down, you've probably seen me move, like you saw it as I was leaving a room in a hurry. But yeah, and I guess to your point, you know, you kind of mentioned like, oh, this isn't on anybody else. And there is a lot that can be said for that, of these problems, as deep as they may go, are our problems. That being said, it's nice, arguably at some points in life, maybe even a necessity, to have people that you love or trust in your life, to at least some extent, to help take the load of some of that, preferably not in a way that you've surprised it on them or immediately sprung it on them, which is generally what tends to happen in when you're having a meltdown of sorts. You know, we all we all know that the better option is that you feel that this kind of thing is coming on, or you know yourself well enough to know that it's been coming on, and that you can hopefully talk to somebody in your life, and not even just to kind of get some of that weight off you for a little bit. And hopefully, you know, bending their ear doesn't put that much weight onto them. Which, you know, I always kind of fear, like if fear may be the wrong word. I kind of think if you don't do that every once in a while with somebody that you trust, then that stuff is going to build up. And then when it does come out, it's going to come out on people that weren't expecting it and maybe aren't the safest people. Hopefully you're around safe people. I mean, hopefully you've built a life where you're generally around people that had some monicum of understanding. And that would be like, well, that was a weird day that so-and-so, whoever it was, had, you know, Zanny or Ronnie. That was a weird day they had that one time. Yeah, but they've been okay since, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point, actually. I don't want to say I've never trusted anybody with this. I know I've surprised people. When I was younger, I had a lot more hate and anger going on, for a lot of like big reasons as well as small reasons. But, you know, I've surprised people with it consciously, in the moment. I mean, it is definitely like ragey anger based when it's RSD specifically. I don't know that I've been able to trust anyone, and it's not on the other people. Like, I guess I have some, I don't know if it's trust issues, but like it's a vulnerability issue. I really struggle to allow people in when I have emotions. I really want to go like my wounds in private. I don't want anybody there. But I don't know that that's good. And and I have shared, people that I care about have seen that and not judged me, and I haven't freaked them out. I don't know how scary I mean, the last time I can remember was like going through all my divorce shit. So yeah, I don't know. I got distracted.
Yeah. Well, and two, I think you may, you know, give yourself, because it doesn't have to be like a watershed. It doesn't have to be a tsunami or a flood.
Yeah.
It could be just a little release. You know, it's weird because we can actually measure our friendship by the length of our of this podcast. We've met literally before we recorded the first episode of this podcast. Yeah. And you've told me things that at least felt like little bits of steam. Our producer Robin, I know you and her have had talks, and maybe they weren't the deepest talks in the world. Maybe you didn't let go everything, but I'm sure you let go those little valves a little bit to help keep things in perspective.
That's a good point. You know, little valves. Do people just let it all out at once sometimes?
It's been known to happen. Or if it's, you know, let's say like the little valves you're letting off 5 or 10%. People may have gone like 100%, but certainly have gone like 50% or 80%.
Okay. That's a good way for me to think about this.
I know I went through a particularly rough patch with something, that I'm just not going to talk about on here because it involves other people, but I went through a particularly, rough patch, and I hit our producer Robin up about it, a mutual friend of ours. And I would say I let go, you know, and like, you know, we spent the whole thing talking about how hard it is to quantify emotions, but on the valve, I'd let go like 80%.
That's really high.
Yeah. And it's just because I hadn't talked about this particular thing to like anybody before. And it was, I will say 70 to 80%. And it was my friend Robin. And also I talked to my friend Ray about it. And I just hadn't really talked to anybody else about this particular thing in my life. And they were both in the spot where it seemed the safest to talk to them, and it was really helpful. And like I said, it was like a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'd say 70 to 80%, but that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sure some people will let go at 100 from time to time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if
and also, like, I'm trying my best to quantify, but to a certain extent, all of these numbers are kind of made up.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. I mean, yeah, for sure. The percentage makes sense in my brain. I do know, I don't know if this is like a goal, but like I do definitely want to be a little bit more, again, it's me trusting, it's rejection sensitivity, honestly. Like, you know, will this person take this wrong? I don't want to open up to everybody. And it's like, I feel like I'm not in control of who I want to open up to in a way that, okay, like I understand I have a lot of people who would be there for me, but I don't feel comfortable with almost everybody like to that level. I feel like not in control of that part, like that part.
I get that. And to the point where sometimes I feel bad, that I will have good friends that I've known for a long time, friends that I love, and that there's just stuff that I'm not going to bring to them because it doesn't feel like the match, even though I know either intrinsically through our friendship or they've straight out told me, hey, if you ever need somebody, you can do that. You can reach out to me. And I appreciate all of the friends that have done that, but there's always going to be a certain amount that I'm going to hold back for whatever reason. And I feel bad because I don't want them to think that means I love them any less than I do or anything like that. It's just first of all, sometimes it is the type of information. And sometimes it's just that weird and probably not great, like desire to not be a burden. And it becomes more of not that I don't trust the person enough. I can't get over myself enough to tell them I need help.
Yeah. Well, I think you may not believe this. I don't know. And this is not even a joke, but like, I do think that something that you can't explain, sometimes there's just a connection that people have that happens organically or something. And like, you feel that there's no science to this, but there's no reason why I would want to talk to this person about stuff over these 400 people or whatever. But, I don't know, like I don't want to get in trouble, but the feeling of safety, the like emotional safety. And it, again, not having to do with the other people. It's just, I think I have safety issues. Like, I'm not in trouble, but I do think I don't really feel super safe a lot emotionally. Yeah.
And no, and I totally back that. I get that. I get that a lot. And also, like, for the record, I don't understand a lot of things. But that doesn't mean I don't think they exist.
Okay. Well, I don't know. You just love science so much.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, there's no science to this, but I just believe it.
I guess the way I put it, I don't understand how my microwave works. I trust that there's something there, though. And it's nothing supernatural. So like, I don't, to like what you were saying about like the relationship things of like, I don't understand what it is or why with certain people there's connections versus other things. But I know there's something there. But just because I don't understand it, I'm not going to write it off.
Okay. All right. Well,
those are my microwave relationships.
Okay. Well, you can have those.
Thank you.
Okay. Not a lot of control, no control over it. It has to run its course, basically. Some people report that getting interested in something new and fascinating can help end an RSD episode quicker. Interesting. I guess if they're longer, I mean, my ones where I drop my pen or have to shut the door all the way, those are seconds long. It's really not that bad.
Well, I was going to say, even like, I'll have some incidents where, I've talked about on before of small mistakes that I will hang on for forever, where I could see finding a new interest is distracting me for a while. But yeah, I don't know. That one seems the least helpful.
Well, I wonder, like, okay, RSD specifically has like a max time of like a few hours, not days. So like maybe those are other things. Getting distracted, like when I going to this sick new world, driving to fucking Vegas, like, okay, I drove up with my friend, his boyfriend picked up some other people that he was working with, and they were coming up later. We get to the mountain and it's fucking closed because Amazon truck
Is the mountain the name of the venue?
No.
What
a literal mountain range to get to Vegas.
Okay.
It's on the 15.
Oh, sure.
And some, like, an Amazon truck just, like, it seemed like it just laid down across every lane in our thing. Like, I didn't know this. We
like
were
an
going
elephant
so
taking
slow.
a nap.
Yeah. That was like a 4-hour problem.
Oh, I've
maybe
been there.
3. I don't know. It took a really long time to get there. And okay, we finally summited all of that. We saw what happened, and then we ran into some more traffic, and I was fucking losing it. And he was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Because I was like, I'm going to lose it. You have to drive. I'm going to stop at the next fucking place and you have to drive. Like, I was being funny about it because I knew it was ridiculous, but I was over it. Like, I had already been driving. He's a princess when it comes to road trips. He will say that. He'll be the first to say it. Okay. But I was like, I've had enough. You can do this. I am out. And he was like, what do I do? What do I do? And so then he turns on Celine Dion, the song, God, it's the dramatic song. There were nights
when
the wind was so cold. Yeah. It made me laugh so hard. He did it. He knew it. I got distracted out of the anger. I wasn't happy about the traffic that we hit, but it did lighten the load a bit. And that was funny. And he didn't take it personally because I was, fucking over it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I think somehow that could be helpful.
Yeah.
But maybe not for like the big stuff. Okay. Many people report that it is very helpful for them to know that this highly disruptive experience is real, common, and shared by other people. Yes. Agree. Okay.
That's what we're real and common.
I'm not so common.
Yeah. I'm common, but Common the rapper. A lot of people don't know I wrote all of his rhymes.
I think you're saying some things that could get us in some legal trouble.
If we can run with Common Sue's podcast, I think we'll. I don't know, man. It's been a week.
I know. Sorry. It's your one talking. That's rude.
What?
I don't know. You're one. You're a one today.
Oh yes. I see.
You're on the way up. I did think it was interesting to find the differences between a mood disorder and RSD in and ADHD, or like what that looks like in there and how they're different. Because, some of the symptoms are similar. Like mood disorders are, depressive, bipolar, things like that, that are longer term, have different criteria, but okay. So we'll just go through these relatively quickly. So in a mood disorder, mood changes are untriggered or out of the blue. So there's no specific incident that triggers it. And then in RSD and ADHD, mood changes always have a clear trigger.
That makes sense.
So that's one.
Let me get that.
Okay. God, I wish I wrote this at the top. I don't know how to turn page. In a mood disorder, moods are independent of what is going on in a person's life. So it could, I'm going to Disneyland, not that it would look like that, but
Right.
And then in RSD and ADHD, moods match the perception of the trigger.
Yeah.
Perception being the operative word, not the actual trigger. Dropping a pen is not a big deal. Okay. In a mood disorder, the mood shift is gradual over weeks. And in RSD, it is an instantaneous mood shift.
You know what? And it's good that you brought these up because it is, you know, I like to dabble in depression from time to time.
Oh, fancy.
But there is very much that difference. And, you know, the hard thing to explain to people sometimes about depression is like, no, you know, it's what's wrong. It's like, this is my brain has decided to be like this today. I can't move much and I don't feel very good.
Huh.
And it's like, well, what's a matter? And it's like, I mean, I would probably list off a bunch of things, but a lot of those things would probably be post the depression having kicked in. Okay. Of these are things that I'm thinking about because I'm in a sad mood, not things that have necessarily made me sad, or things that, you know, have made me sad, but really this depression that's bringing on is something bigger. It is a state. Mm-hmm. I am in a state when I'm in depression. Whereas, you know, if I'm sad, that's just a thing I am for a little bit, or a thing I feel. Mm-hmm. It is not defining of me. But like when I'm in a depression, and obviously if you're depressed, you're still a full human being. You still have all those things. It's not, but it is more of that, more encompassing of that versus a lot of this RSD stuff where it is big, almost explosive reactions to sometimes small, sometimes still big things you have. It just I guess it just seems a little more ridiculous when it happens to the small things.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering why this sounds like intermittent explosive disorder, which is a disorder very uncommonly used. I think it's teenagers maybe. Mm-hmm. It's one that we learned in school because it doesn't usually stick. So it's like, not that any of my trainee diagnoses would have stuck anyway, but this seems very that anyway. Mm-hmm. That's just my 2 cents. Okay, in a mood disorder, the offset of mood this not a sentence. The offset of the mood episode is gradual over a period of weeks to months. And in RSD, episodes end quickly in a matter of seconds to hours. I added the seconds to hours because it says a matter of hours here, but I'm like, that's like worst case scenario. Right. Mine are relatively fast.
Mm-hmm. We have them documented.
You sure do.
Thanks to your honesty.
Study me. I had a few in this episode, not gonna lie. I didn't realize Shakespeare was a problem for me. I don't know. Okay, and then this last one, in a mood disorder, the duration of the episode must be at least 2 weeks. And then RSD episodes rarely last more than a couple of hours.
Okay. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Those are the big differences. And I do think it's important to note that because the length of time really does matter as far as diagnoses are concerned. Mm-hmm. You know, so just there's that. Yeah.
Well, what I kind of like about as we wind this down, what I kind of like about RSD is nothing. I like nothing about RSD. But what I think what is interesting in it is, I think, and it's something we've talked about on the show before, but with ADHD, I really do have, you know, I've said before, it's kind of a joke of whoever came up with ADHD didn't have ADHD, because they would never see it as a deficit of attention. It's just not paying attention to what people want us to pay attention to. True. But I do think that is so much of this particular way of being is defined by people who aren't us, and so are looking at us and seeing the things we do. And that's why you get like, oh, they're hyperactive, they lack attention. And certainly there's things to be said for those things. But I think that it's just as much things like RSDs, things like our emotional dysregulation, that I think in a lot of ways get kind of swept to the side, which I think is a shame, especially when I mean, hopefully you're catching this earlier on. And that I think we've gotten a lot better at it. Not like it's cancer and that you can cure us. But I think people have gotten a lot better at it, but that you have to be that either living with this or having a young person in your life that you're in charge of with this, or maybe even having friends with it. You have to remember that it's not all just this kid can't do his homework. Because you can teach a kid to do his homework eventually. His or her, or theirs. But we also have to, as adults in ourselves and and with children who watch out, people who watch after children, we have to recognize that there are these emotional, intellectual sides of it that persist beyond being able to figure out how to turn in paperwork on time. You can hack your way, or a lot of people, everybody's different, but a lot of people can hack their way into, like with hacks, hackers, doing different things and getting them all, and those are good to learn. But we don't want situations where just because somebody has learned that we overlook all of the other things they may be up against. Yeah. Okay. I feel very like Jerry Springer and the final thoughts.
Maybe. I miss Jerry Springer.
Yeah. Rest in peace, King.
Is he dead?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, he died.
Jerry Springer's dead?
Jerry Springer died a few years ago. I think pre-COVID.
What?
Yeah. You know that?
No, I never know when anyone's dead.
Governor
so I'm not
Jerry
surprised.
Springer?
Yeah, Governor was way before he lost all the respect he ever had, if he had it. I don't know. I really liked Jerry Springer, the show. I loved the drama of it. I loved how everyone fought. I don't care how produced it was. I enjoyed it. Now I'm not proud of that, though. It was very exploitive.
It was Mayor. I will say it was exploitive. Oh, no, it was April 27th, 2023. He passed away.
Oh. Pour one out for you, Jerry.
Oh, shit. He was born in London.
Oh, shit.
He seems so
How could he be a mayor?
I think that rules just for president.
How could he do the Constitution? I don't understand anything.
His name was Gerald. Why am I having Gerald Norman?
Gerald?
Oh, Gerald. Oh, he was born the day before Valentine's Day.
So wait, his last name is not Springer.
No, I'm sorry, Gerald. Gerald Norman Springer. I was giving his first and his last name. I'm just trying to find out
what his name was. Gerald.
Death and Legacy. He's 79.
Not anymore.
Yeah, oh, he's 79 when he died.
Dead.
Pancreatic cancer for a few months.
Pancreatic cancer sucks.
So I guess it got him quick.
Well, it's a rough one.
Yeah.
It's really hard to cure. I know someone who's... I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Not my business.
Yeah. You knew Jerry Springer.
I knew Jerry Springer. No, I mean that's a rough one. It just,
Jerry Springer 100% is I have a Pinterest page of ideas for my other podcast. Jerry Springer's totally on there.
Is he banned?
I mean, he's certainly he employs the spirit of banned media conference. He was certainly controversial.
Yeah. I think he just was like, I just got to make some money. I don't know that he loved his job for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you got to make that green. I don't know.
You got to make it.
All right. Well, this feels done.
I think so.
Okay. Well, if you enjoyed any of that, have any thoughts about it, rate, subscribe. I cannot speak today. Afternoony ran out.
I mean, you saved me on the Jerry Springer's real name.
True. I did. Yeah, rate, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Mm-hmm. If you want to follow us on social, I'm going to make a post this week. I am saying it on air, so I'll do it. Because I have this weird thing about it where I'm just like, I just got to do it. And I just don't want to do it. I think, what is this? executive function dysfunction or something.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening.
I don't think that, because that sounds a little too much like conjunction junction. What's your function?
Oh,
but it is something disorder, maybe executive.
whatever. That is happening for me. But so please go follow us so you can figure out what I'm going to do. On Instagram and TikTok at InnerMoxiePod. You could email us at myinnermoxiepod@gmail.com. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Write in about your RSD experiences. I would love to read something on air that someone wrote if they gave their express consent before doing it.
And if you just want to share something with us that you don't want us to read on air, share with us.
Yeah.
We like sharing.
Sure.
And being shared with.
Yeah. Find us on Patreon like we dropped at the beginning. Help us make a better show for you. If you would like to follow me on socials, you may do so at Xanism, ZANNISM on Instagram. I am a religion and a disease. Goodbye.
If you want to hear more of me, there's aforementioned the Band Media Podcast, my other podcasts. Also, you can find me on any of the socials, but the one I'm most active on is TikTok, and hopefully soon to be Threads. I'm going to check that out.
I don't want to talk about Threads. I'm very closed off. I probably shouldn't be. All right, cheese bags later.
Bye. No.
Stay fresh, cheese bags. Stay fresh, cheese bags. Goodbye.
Later.